And for that we use models. We use the sheep kidney, we use the flat models, and we use Mr. Henry. Is there Mr. Henry nearby? Yes, can I pass Mr. Henry? So we use Mr. Henry to show the full anatomical arrangements. We have a pair of kidneys, a very simple system, or it appears simple, but it's pretty complex, probably next to the nervous system. A pair of kidneys, and then two ureters that's draining the urine from the kidneys, empties it into the bladder, and then a urethra, and that's cut off a bit. But the urethra is one structure that takes the urine out. The urethra passes through the male's penis, and for the female, it's a short tube in front of the vagina. We're going to look at that, and that's why we do the purple tube. While we have this, you can see on top of the kidneys are the adrenal gland. They're not part of the urinary system, but we talk about them when we do. Just like we talk about the spleen when we do digestive bits, because they're just there. They're part of the endocrine system, as you probably know. They're very important, and you might be talking about some of the hormones that they make right now. The blood pressure, not that one, that one. So here it is again. It's the adrenal gland. Very important because it produces some very important hormones. You can see that there's two distinct parts to it. You can see the yellow part, that's the cortex, the adrenal cortex. And then in there is the adrenal medulla. It is in the cortex that the aldosterone is produced, the aldosterone that regulates blood pressure. You probably, I don't know if you get to that yet. And in the middle here is where you have epinephrine and norepinephrine. You also have some other cortical hormones. And because of the types of hormones that are produced here, blood pressure is regulated, your glucose is regulated. So if you have problems here, you can have symptoms like that mimics diabetes. Androgens, lots of androgens are there. So your testes and your reproductive hormonal imbalance, you'll see imbalances in the reproductive system. So this is, even though it's just a small organ, it can have some very far-reaching impact. What we're seeing here is the kidney cut open. So we're going to go through the parts of the kidney. And then we were fortunate later on. For years, we only had the kidney and the sheep. So when I set up the exam, I would have repeats and repeats and more repeats. And a few years ago, we got these. So now I don't have to repeat them as much. We still have repeats. And when I say repeat, I mean I stick it on here, I pin it on here, I pin it on Mr. Henry, and I pin it on the blue thing. So now we have these models. Where's the other one?
The peg. There's one over there, the pyramid one?
Yes.
It's over there on the table.
You gonna borrow that? So we got the blue one and the pyramid one. This is a peg, if you can imagine. They've cut a peg out of the kidney there. So here's the cortical, that's this part here, and then here's the pyramid part, that's this part. So it's a complete peg out of that. No pelvis area, but we have that. So that's what this represents, and that's the first part on your key. And then we got the blue one. We got these two together, and the blue one is the numbers that go at the bottom on your key there. Then we got the white ones later. So what I normally do is use the white one to tell you what the matching numbers on here are for the blue one, because they're different suppliers, whoever they call themselves. So they have different numbers. So I'll just tell you what the matching numbers are, and you can write it beside the blue ones. So if you come in and he's using the white one or the blue one, you'll know. So we'll walk our way through what this is showing. This is showing a perspective that this alone doesn't. This is basically these things. So it's cutting the kidney open so you can see the stuff inside. And then it's going one step further. That is showing you a nephron and the position of the nephron in the kidney. So now they're taking that and they're magnifying it for us so we can see. And this is where the action of the urine production really takes place. These things are called nephrons, and we have more than one. You can see one here, one over here. There are millions of them per kidney, at least 2 million per kidney. So these are tiny, tiny, microscopic, and they have different distinct ports. They color code them for us, and the blood comes in and gets filtered, and the urine is made and then emptied through this tube right here. So what they've done now is take one of these round ones and cut it open for us so we can see a little more detail. And this is the filtration mechanism. So that's how we're going to address this. But we'll come back to that. Let's go do a regular kidney, and then we'll get in a little more detail. So for the regular kidney, this is the same thing as this as that, so it doesn't matter which one you use. What you can see when you cut, why don't we cut open our kidney first so we can see what's in there. Let me do the purple ones and get it out of the way. The purple ones are almost like Mr. Henry. They're showing you the macro view. This is for the male, and the male is interesting because the male shares a couple structures with the reproductive system, the urinary. So here's the bladder of the male, and you can see the urethra passing through, very long. It extends all the way from the bladder to the end of the penis. And because it's so long, it passes through several structures. So in your textbook, they'll refer to prosthetic urethra, which means the piece that passes through the prostate. This is the prostate right here. Then you have the membranous urethra, which is this part through the diaphragm. And then you have the penile urethra, which is that part in the penis. For my purposes, if I stick a pin, it's just urethra. You don't have to be specific, but just so you know when you read it, that's what they're talking about. The other thing you notice is that because part of it passed through the prostate, when there's problems with the prostate, one of the first sign or symptom is difficulty with urination. Because as the prostate gets swollen, it clamps down on the urethra itself and prevents the urine from coming out. And so even if it comes, it's in dribbles or very teeny bits. The other thing of interest is that since they share the reproductive and the urinary, that's the ejaculatory duct. So when the sperm comes up at the vas deferens and dumps into the urethra there, then it travels that way. So to prevent urination during ejaculation and vice versa, there are a valve system that closes off. There are two valves right here. This is a terrible model, but there are two valves right up near the neck of the bladder. They call the internal and external urethral sphincters. So they will close off and prevent any urination during the ejaculation process. The other interesting thing is that the urethra bisects this blue one here, which is your corpus spongiosum. So it passes right through one of the erectile tissue structures. The urethra opens at the end of the penis. It's a urethral orifice, number 14 there. Note the difference. Notice the penis is an external structure, and note the difference or the distance it is from the anus. Not easy for males to get urinary tract infections. Females, on the other hand, as usual, whoever does the design of the females do a messed up job. This model doesn't show it really because the distance is not even, I don't think, this great. But you have the anus right there, the vagina right there, and the urethral orifice right there. So microbes from the anus can migrate very easily to these structures here. It's not that the microbes bypass the vagina and go to the urethra. It goes in the vagina, but the vagina is pretty hostile. It has a lot of acid, so they don't survive there. But they do well in the urethra. So E. coli is a big culprit. Pseudomonas is another one. Some of the ones that you have on your skin, like the strep and so on. So they're opportunistic, and they get up in there and they colonize the urethra. So not only is it close to the anus, but look at the length. It's very short. So it doesn't take much for them to migrate up, and sometimes even up into the bladder, where they call cystitis. So females have this problem, the UTI problem, much more often than the males. Another thing with the female is there's an association with intercourse. It's not because the person puts the penis in the urethra, it's too tiny anyway. It's because when there's some action there, you would push the microbes easier, push it into the urethra. So that can increase UTIs. And again, we don't have the same problem because again, since you don't urinate and you don't do, like one student thought that you pee from your vagina. Since you don't pee from your vagina, you don't shear the system like the male. So the valves that are here is just to regulate urine flow. And I think that does it for this fella, for this lady. So now to our regular penis. Let me cut open one of them so you can look at it as we go. I have a big knife. Did I bring a big knife? No, the big knife, because it's, although mine is small, but some of you have some big kidneys, you're going to need the knife.